Britain's top secret spy headquarters, Vauxhall Cross. The Secret Intelligence Service, or as it's more commonly known, MI6, has had a long and fascinating history with the security of its headquarters. From renting office spaces with aliases of bogus companies to getting exposed by their landlords and the press, the location of their base is one secret that the world-infamous spy agency has failed to preserve over the years of operation. So, in 1994, they decided to do the exact opposite and come out to Britain and the rest of the world with an absurdly secure imperial fortress designed to be impregnable from the most modern weaponry. How did they manage to construct this monstrous structure with the entire world watching? By doing it in secret, of course. Vauxhall Cross, the current home of the United Kingdom's Foreign Intelligence Agency, is located at 85 Albert Embankment in Vauxhall, London, on the bank of the River Thames beside Vauxhall Bridge. And it could very well be the most secure building in Britain. It is surrounded by 2 moats and constructed with bomb-proof stone and over 25 types of glass. Unauthorized radio signals do not enter or leave its walls, and the only ever recorded attack on the building left superficial damage. It is, by all indications, a modern fortress, and a brief look at the history of the service will reveal why it was necessary to build it in the first place. Right from its inception, the SIS approached their operation with an obsession with secrecy, deserving of their motto, "Always Secret." The agency's first headquarters was a townhouse on Victoria Street, under the alias of Messrs. Resson Falcon Limited, shippers and exporters. Their true identity was known only to a select few, as ordered by the founder of the SIS organization, Sir Mansfield Cumming. Cumming was a decorated British naval officer who suggested the founding of the SIS. During his time at the service, he was reported to be an obsessive workaholic who only signed his name with the letter C and wrote in green ink, a tradition that has been continued by all SIS heads after him. In 1919, after Cumming moved the service headquarters to another townhouse on Melbury Road, he set up a system that first required all visitors to visit an office on the Strand before they were then given the address of the SIS headquarters. He was so committed to secrecy and security that he tried to keep the location from his boss, the Director of Military Intelligence. The tradition of moving from townhouse to townhouse continued for a few decades until the dawn of the Cold War. They'd been preparing to move out of an office space in an exclusive part of the St. James area of London, where they'd been posing as the Minimax Fire Extinguisher Company when they suffered their biggest breach to date. Their landlord at the time started showing their space before they moved out at the beckon of a mysterious Russian trade delegation. This led to a hurry to cover up documents, maps, and other important items they wished to keep secret from their enemies at the time. Later that year, the service moved to the recently completed Century House on 100 Westminster Bridge Road. The building wasn't any better at keeping their secret either. In the 60s, when the MI6 existence was still officially being denied by the government, it was labeled London's worst kept secret by the Daily Telegraph. It is well known by taxi drivers, tourist guides, and international visitors. Ironically, it was even less secure than the building they just vacated. It had large glass windows, which made it vulnerable to spies. There was also a petrol station at the base, making it an even more obvious target for attack. By 1985, Century House was irredeemably insecure by the National Audit Office report. At the time, the leasehold on Century House was also expiring, putting the service in the position to decide between modernizing Century House or moving to a more secure headquarters. Well, you know what they decided on based on the title of this video. The government spent a great deal of time searching for a new location with very little success. Most commercial and residential areas were ruled out because they might have to share it with shops and other businesses. Any location outside London was a non-starter because of its distance from the rest of the agencies. The answers they were looking for came in 1987 in the form of Regalian Properties plc. They approached the government with a proposal for a property they were developing on the south bank of the Thames. The building was formerly the site of the Vauxhall Pleasure Halls in the 19th century, and several industrial buildings following the demolition of the pleasure halls in the 1850s. It was bought by Regalian Properties in 1983, and the competition for its development was won by postmodern architect Terry Farrell. Building a fortress in secret. As of 1987, there was no denying the existence of the SIS or what it did. Years of operation, the proliferation of the Bond movies, and the Cold War saw to that. While the service, along with the government's other secret agencies, would eventually be drawn into the light, they were still very dedicated to keeping their secret. After reviewing the location and potential of the site and building, the proposal was approved by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in 1988. The joint occupation of MI5 and MI6 was briefly considered, but abandoned due to security considerations and the building size. The future occupants of the building were never revealed to all involved. Even Terry Farrell, the man who designed it, did not know it was for the SIS. In an interview, he reckoned it was for the Department of Environment, based on the unique urban village aesthetic he designed the building with. It had mixed postmodern design philosophies with Aztec and Mayan temple designs. John Liang, the man in charge of building the new headquarters, also had no idea. The details of how they managed this deception for the 4 years it took to construct the spy headquarters were revealed in a National Audit Office report. The government proposed to buy the entire building outright for €135 million to avoid any future entanglements with third parties. But even this move nearly revealed their plans because of how unusual it was. Typically, government-funded constructions were paid for in 10% increments during construction to allow room for public scrutiny. Instead, the Treasury approved payment of the entire sum before construction started. The government made no large changes to the initial office building Regalian proposed, except for a few minor things, such as a document lift and a few emergency generators. After the main construction stage was finished, an additional £10 million was spent outfitting the building to modern standards. This aspect of the construction was also seen by the Regalian. The SIS then came in 1994 to complete the most secret and expensive portion of the construction, the security. No one outside the service knows what this fully entails, but we've been able to determine the following from the information publicly available. The building was built to be a fortress and is covered in security cameras, in and out. It is also reinforced with bullet and bomb-proof walls, triple glazed glass to block electronic eavesdropping and jamming, extra thick doors for security, and 2 moats surrounding it. On the inside of the building, there are shooting ranges, rooms that block all incoming and outgoing radio waves, and a Faraday cage. Agents of the SIS are also not allowed to have their mobiles on when they enter the headquarters. While the security above ground is already impressive, the structures below ground are said to be even more secure. This area contains the main computer control room that responds to potential terrorist attacks. The building was completed in April 1994 and opened by Queen Elizabeth II, accompanied by Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, on July 14, 1994. It was named the SIS headquarters and has gone on record to be the first time the government has acknowledged the existence of the clandestine organization. It was, in part, a fulfillment of the promise that the then Prime Minister John Majors made to sweep away the secrecy of the spy organization of London and bring them to light. Since its construction, the building has been renovated once in 2009 and cost an estimated £80 million. The exact figure has been held back under grounds of national security. Over the years, Vauxhall Cross has been featured in several Bond movies, serving as the fictional home base of the 00 section. The building was in GoldenEye, World Is Not Enough, Skyfall, and Spectre. While the studios did not gain entry into the building at any point, the recognition has helped in the propagation of its mythos and reputation. Today, it stands as a hallmark of British architectural ingenuity and how much a building can shape an organization, even one as secret as MI6.